Hello everyone, and welcome to our weekly Five Stones Academy Live. Over the last 4 weeks we've been talking about local SEO, and today we're going to start talking about just regular old organic to get your website to rank better in the search. Is simply the process of making your website stand out as an authority to the search engines on a particular topic. There's a lot of things that we do to make that happen. But before we get too far into that, if we just look at the numbers here, when we look at the major search engines, Google with 4.5 billion monthly visits, Bing with 873 million, Yahoo with 536,000, and the rest of them with about 125 million. If we look at that on a chart, you can see that Google occupies over 3/4 of that chart. So as we're talking about search engine optimization, assume that we're talking specifically about Google. How something works on Google. What it really means is how it works on the search engines. But again, we're speaking primarily to Google because Google is the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to search engines, and they are the ones that you want your website to rank for the best. So there are two types of SEO. There's black hat SEO, which is bad, and there's white hat SEO, which is good. Black hat SEO will get you in trouble with Google. If you do black hat SEO, you're going to be doing things like buying backlinks. You'll have examples of anchor text that just repeat themselves over and over and over, and we'll get into anchor text as we go. Hidden content, where you do something like you put white text on a white background, and you just put your keywords over and over and over, so that you have a page that's full of this keyword that nobody can actually see. Keyword stuffing, where you do that same thing except that you don't hide it. You have content on your page where the keywords are just repeated over and over and over, and they don't even make sense usually when you read the content on the page. Gateway pages. A gateway page is where a page is optimized for a particular topic, and then when you go to that page, it redirects you somewhere else. And then typo squatting. Typo squatting would be an example of you buying a domain name that's very similar to something like a really big website, something that people would commonly misspell, or they'll type it in the wrong way. Now, I've got here to get your own typos, because if your domain name is something where there's multiple spellings for it, or a common misspelling, then you're going to want to get that. Google themselves, they own Google with an extra O. It's really common for people to put 3 O's in the word Google on accident when they're typing real fast. I believe they used to have goggle.com. I checked that this morning because it was an example that I always used, but goggle.com just went to an empty page. So I'm pretty sure they probably still own that. But get your own typos. Now, white hat SEO is the correct way to do search engine optimization. It is going about, you're not trying to trick the search engines. You do this by building very high quality content, and you're going to follow all the best practices that we talk about today. So as we get started, we're going to talk primarily about on-page SEO. These are some of the things that we're going to talk about today. Title tags and meta descriptions, header tags. We're going to talk about URL structure, internal links, content layout. But we're going to start with title tags. Now, the title tag is what you would see when you're doing a Google search, this large blue text that would be at the top. That is the title tag that is on your website. Now, when you go to a website, you're not actually going to see the title tag unless it shows up in the top of your browser, which it often will. It'll show up in the tab there on the browser. But you can't just go to a website and see the title tag right there on the page. It's something that is put into the code of the website. Now, as I talk about things like title tags and meta descriptions and basically everything that we're talking about, I can't give you the instructions on exactly how to put that information into your website, because there are literally hundreds of content management systems out there that all have different ways of doing this. If you're using one of the more common ones, like WordPress being the most common CMS out there, then there are going to be tons of YouTube videos out there that will teach you how to do this. Or if you're using DNN, which is the website CMS that we build in, then we would have shown you that when we train you on the website. And there, again, will be plenty of videos out there on YouTube. So the thing that you need to do is find out what is the content management system that your website is built in. Hopefully it is built in a content management system. And you can easily do that by going to builtwith.com. And we'll put that link in the comments on the video so that you can go check that out. But you go to builtwith.com, you put your website URL in there, it'll tell you what the content management system is that your website's built on, and then just go over to YouTube and look up how to put in title tags or meta descriptions or whatever it is that we're talking about into your particular CMS. So again, title tags, you're going to see them. That's going to be the big text up at the top in each one of your search results, and then you may see that in the tab on your browser. So some best practices with title tags. The title tag should tell the visitor and the search engine what that particular page of the website is about. Every page of a website should have its own unique title tags. You don't want to put the same title tag throughout the website, because then there's nothing that differentiates one page from another. Now, in most cases, the home page of your website is going to be the most authoritative page of the website, and you're going to want a title tag there that's going to be the overall idea of what it is that you do in your business. In our case, it would either be web design or marketing. Now, it should be 55 characters or less. Anything longer, especially with now the mobile search results, it's just not going to show up on the screen. So you want it to be 55 characters or less, and it should contain your keyword or your key phrase. The next thing that we're going to look at is going to be your meta description. Now, the meta description, I've got it in here, but in actuality, it really doesn't have anything to do with SEO. It is just one of the meta tags that is put in while you're doing SEO. It's very related to your title tag, and when you're doing a search, it's going to be the small black text that comes up. Now, I say that it has nothing to do with search with the search results, because the search engines have come out and they've said, we don't use what you put into your meta description as a ranking factor. But where it does absolutely make a difference is in conversion rate optimization. So when somebody is doing a search and they see this text, that text is going to help them decide whether or not they have come across a search result that's going to help them with whatever it is that they're searching for. So basically, that meta description should convince the person who has done a search that, yes, my website is the one that you want to come to get help with whatever it is that you're looking for. When we look at the best practices for meta descriptions, like I say, it'll primarily be seen in search results. You'll never see this actually on the page of the website unless you view the code or the source. You're going to want to use that meta description to convince the searcher that your website is the one that they're looking for. And just like your title tag, it should contain your keyword. Actually, just to elaborate on that a little bit, if somebody searches for something, like they search for web design Hammond, for example, and our website comes up, in that meta description where it shows in the search results, the words that they used in their search where they appear in the meta description will actually be bolded. So it makes it stand out to them that this is a good result for what it is that they were searching for. And then header tags. That's going to be the third type of tag that we're talking about today. You're primarily going to have H1, H2, and H3 header tags, and I'll show you what this tag is in just a minute. You can keep going down the list with H4s and H5s and so on. The thing is most people use these header tags for styling the website. They use it because an H1 is going to be set to look a certain way. It's going to be a larger font, usually a different font than the rest of the website. and your H3 is going to be a little smaller font than the H2. And the problem with that is that a header tag is really there to set the hierarchy of the content. It's going to tell the search engines how to read that content. It tells the people also who are coming to the website and looking at the page, if it is laid out right, then it will also guide them through how they should read that content. So if you think of your H1, or if you think of header tags in general as an outline, then the H1 would be the title of the entire outline. The H2 would be a title of a section of the outline, and H3 might be a heading over a set of bullet points. So basically, like I said, it establishes the hierarchy of that content. So there should only be one H1 per page on a website. You commonly see it, that a web page will have 3 or 4 H1s because a person likes the way that that H1 looks. Well, it may look great, but to the search engines, it's confusing when you have all these different H1s on a page. It's okay to have multiple H2s and H3s. The H1, you should only have one. Ideally, the H1 should contain your keyword. So when we look at this page, the H1 on this page is where it says Elder Care Services, right up at the top. It's going to be the largest text on the page. It is the title of the content, and it is what that page is about. It's about elder care services. Now, if you want to go look at your website to see where the H1s and H2s and H3s are, the header tags, where they're located on the page, there's a cool tool that I like to use. Now, you have to use the Firefox browser for this to work. I use Chrome. Chrome is my browser of choice. But when I'm doing SEO on a website, especially when I'm auditing a website before we start an SEO project, I will switch over to Firefox, and I use an add-on for Firefox that's called the Foxy SEO Toolbar. And I'm gonna get out of my presentation for a second and go over to Firefox and kind of show you that as it works. Okay, so I am on the home page of our website right now. And I'm in Firefox, and I'm going to go up into my toolbar. Dylan, make sure we're showing the actual screen here. And I'm going to open up the Foxy SEO toolbar. And there's this drop down that I'm looking at, and at the top I've got another little drop down, and I'm going to go down to Tools, and then I'm going to click on Search Spider Simulator. Now, the Search Spider Simulator is going to show me that page of the website exactly as the search engine would see it. And you can see where we've got our slogan, the We Do Big Ideas, as an H2. But you can see all of the content that is on that page. Now, we just launched this website. We don't actually have an H1 on our home page yet because we're about to go in and redo all of our SEO. But this is a great way to be able to see how the search engine sees your page of your website. It's also a great way to see your image alt tags, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. So remember, that is called the Foxy SEO Toolbar, and you have to use Firefox for that to work. So I'm going to switch back to my presentation. And again, the screen that we're looking at here was for that page before, where Elder Care Services is our H1, and we can see that the Foxy SEO Toolbar annotates it with a little H1 right there. So there's one more type of metadata that there's a lot of misperception on this one, and that is the keywords. When people come to us and they talk about doing SEO on their website, a phrase that we'll commonly hear from them is, "I want you to put the keywords in my website." And that is from many, many, many years ago. The major search engines have not used the keyword metadata in quite a long time as a ranking factor, and the reason why is because people used it in ways that they shouldn't. They were putting keywords into pages that weren't even about what that keyword was about. So the keyword meta tag that's in the back end of your website and your CMS, you're not going to want to use that. If you've got keywords in there, take them out. They're doing no good, and there is some suspicion. I've heard from some of the thought leaders in the industry that having those keywords in there could actually hurt you. I've not seen anything factual on that yet, but definitely don't waste your time putting those keywords into the keyword metadata place in the back end of your content management system. Now, where keywords are used, and we're going to talk specifically about keyword research in a couple of weeks, but where keywords are used is within the main content of your website. And we're going to get into that when we talk specifically about keywords. All right, so URL structure is something that's going to be another really important factor in the ranking of your website. And I'm going to give you two examples here. The first one here is an example of a poor URL. Now, when I went searching for this, when I put this presentation together, I went to I did a search and then went to like page 10 because I wanted to find the websites that were not ranking well. And I found this great example of a URL here that if you look at that, you don't have a clue what this website is about, much less what the page that I'm on is about. So now I'm going to give you an example of a good URL. So in this case, you know exactly what this web page is about. You know what the entire website is about, really, from looking at this URL. Well, not only do you know that this page is about commercial cleaning services, but you've made it very easy for the search engine to also understand that this page is about commercial cleaning services, because that's what the URL is, omegajanitorial.com/commercial-cleaning-services. So you want to make sure that your URLs look like this and not like this. In most modern content management systems, you have the option to turn on what is called a friendly URL. This is a friendly URL at the bottom. By default, many of today's content management systems are going to look like that out of the box. So go to your website, click in a couple of pages, and look and see what your URLs look like. If they look like this, you need to fix it. It's hurting you. So just some best practices. URLs should be easy to read and remember. URLs should explain what the page is about. Ideally, the URL should contain your keyword, and you should be able to set what the URL of your page is in your content management system. So an internal link is once we've built a website, there's a couple of, as we talk about SEO, there's a couple of types of links that we're going to talk about. There's internal links, and then there are going to be external links, and then there's going to be backlinks. An internal link is simply going to be a link from within your website to somewhere else within your website. And the search engines like to see, especially on larger websites where you've built up a lot of content through blogs or you just have a lot of pages on the site, the search engines and your readers are going to appreciate when you have a link from one place in your website to another when it's a relevant place to do so. So internal links should be used to direct the user throughout the website. You should use good anchor text, and I'm going to tell you about anchor text in just a second. And then internal links are going to help to pass page authority from one page of a website to another. So there's when we talk about the authority of a website, we have a couple of things. We've got PageRank, and then we have domain authority, and then we have page authority. We're going to focus primarily on domain authority and page authority. Domain authority is going to be the authority of your website as a whole. Like in our case, fivestonesmedia.com is the domain, and our domain authority is going to be specific to do with the entire website that resides on fivestonesmedia.com. Page authority is going to be the authority of each individual page within that website. So when we have one page that ranks really well, and we link from that page to another, then we've told the search engine, hey, this page that we're linking to, it's important too. So give that page a little more authority. I'm going to show you an example of an internal link. Going back to that same CareInc website, we have a page here that is about family support for the elderly. Well, within our text, we have a link to the Elder Care Services page, that page that I showed you a little while ago. Now, these words, Elder Care Services, that is your anchor text. I could link any words on this page over to our Elder Care Services page. The URL is careinc.com/elder-care-services. The anchor text that I use is whatever text on this page I use to link over there. Now, because that page is about elder care services, my anchor text, it just makes sense for us to use where it says elder care services on the page as our anchor text. Now, I talked about in Black Hat SEO how you could have anchor text that could hurt you. And usually where that's going to be the case is if you've gone out and bought a bunch of backlinks. It used to be common practice, not so much anymore, but it still happens by people who they have good intentions, but they don't know what they're doing. They will go out and buy a whole bunch of spammy backlinks. They'll go like to Fiverr.com and they'll pay somebody to go build them 1,000 backlinks. And those people are going to build those backlinks by going to a whole bunch of blogs and commenting on the blogs. And when they comment, they're going to link back to your website. Well, if we were to do something like that for this website and we went out there and paid for 1,000 links and all of those links had the same exact anchor text, well, the search engines are going to know that didn't happen naturally. We paid for that to happen. We were trying to trick them. So we don't want that same anchor text everywhere on the web linking back to the website. Now, internal links, it's not a big deal. You can use the same anchor text if it makes sense. An external link or a backlink, or I'm sorry, not an external link, but a backlink is one that you're not going to want all that anchor text. So, all right. And then images. When I was showing you the Foxy SEO toolbar, I told you that it would show you your image alt text. So image alt text is going to go back a ways, and it is related directly to website readers. So people who are visually impaired, they will have a program that will read a web page to them. And when there's a picture, that program needs to be able to tell them what the picture is of. So they put image alt text in place so that the website reader would know what the image was. Well, the search engines began to use that to find out, what that page was about. So each image of your website, it's not going to be 100% of your images, but most of the images on your website should have alt text that describes the image. So here we've got a picture of chocolate donuts. Now there's two things that we want to, or two places where we want to get our keyword. One of them is going to be in the file name. So the actual name of this picture, when you save it to your computer, you want to name that picture and include your key name in it. So the name of this picture was chocolate-donuts.jpg. And our alt text in this case was the best chocolate donuts. And we use chocolate donuts because I'm about to pull everything that we just talked about together. So images, just images in general, the file size should be as small as possible while still looking good. So you want to downsize that image. If it only needs to display at 600 pixels by 400 pixels, you don't want to have a 4,000 by 6,000 pixel image up there. If it's only going to be used on the web, you don't need to have 300 DPI, which is going to be your image resolution. You would want that for print, but you don't want that for web because it's going to slow down your website. The image names should describe the image, and the image alt text should describe the image and ideally contain your keyword. So, moving on with the chocolate donuts theme, we've got a graphic here of the perfectly optimized page, and we will put a link to this graphic. This graphic was created by Moz, not by us, but Moz put this together. It's the perfectly optimized page, and like I said, we'll give you a link to that image so that you can really look at the detail on it. But the first thing that we're going to look at for this page is it shows us our title and our meta elements. So you're not going to be able to see this real good, I understand, but the title, which referring to the title tag of the page, is Chocolate Donuts from Mary's Bakery. The meta description is learn the 3 secrets to Mary's award-winning chocolate donuts. Get times and locations for availability and learn how to make your own donuts at home. And then the URL is marysbakery.com/chocolate-donuts. So you can see in all 3 cases, our title tag, our meta description, and in our URL, we have our main keyword, which is chocolate donuts. And then as we get to the page itself, this is on the page, it's just that it's in the code. But when we get to the page, as far as what people can see, we're going to have our H1 tag up here that says chocolate donuts from Mary's Bakery. So again, we've got our keyword in our H1 header tag. And in our content, we've got the word chocolate donuts, and they've bolded the word. Now, you don't want to go crazy bolding your keyword all over your page, bolding it and italicizing it and underlining it. All three of those things will make it stand out to the search engines that this is an important word on the page, but you don't want to go nuts with it. Do it once or twice, and that's it. So just as we look at the descriptions that they give here, the content offers everything a searcher might want in a unique, high-quality amalgamation. Now, amalgamation, that's where I come from. We would call that a $5 word. But basically, it's just saying that everything is laid out nicely, and it's going to be user-friendly for the people who are reading this web page. And then we have clear layout, solid visuals, beautiful, simple design, and they make the page easy to use and enjoy. So when somebody has found a page of your website, they want that page to be easy to understand. They don't want to come here and be confused by it. They don't want to come here and see an ugly page. They want a beautiful page that is laid out nicely, that is going to give them the information that they're looking for. This page includes authorship. This is actually outdated. Google doesn't do authorship anymore, so I'm going to skip that. There are no impediments to search crawlers reaching this page or determining the canonical version. Now, in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about canonical URLs, and that'll make sense then. But when it says there's no impediments to search crawlers, basically Google's system of going out and crawling a web page, they call them search spiders. So the search spiders need to be able to crawl the pages of your website. A couple of years back, I had a client that came to me, and they had someone build them a new website. Their old website had ranked very well in the search engines, and within about 3 months, they could not be found at all. When we started looking into what was going on, and I started doing an audit on it, I'm looking at the page code, and I see in the page code where it says no index. No index is a snippet of code that tells the search engine, do not read this web page. Well, if the search engine can't read your web page, they're not going to continue to include it in the index. The reason that this had been done is because while the website was being built, it was built live on the internet, which we do that as well, but they didn't want the search engines to pick up on the website that was not finished yet. Well, when they launched it, they forgot to go in and turn off the no index. So they fell out of the search rankings, and it took them a little while to crawl back. So that's a mistake that you don't want to make. So make sure that your pages are crawlable. Social share buttons, like the like button, the tweet button, +1 button, which that's a little outdated, but still having the social share buttons there to be able to, for people to be able to share your content easily. The more that it's shared, there's a thing called social signals. We'll talk about that as well in a couple of weeks. The more that it's shared, the more importance that Google is going to see in your web page. And then primary and secondary keyword phrases appear in prominent positions in the headline, title, and content. And that's basically getting back to your headline and in your content that we talked about. And then thanks to solidly tested responsive design, this page loads looking great on any device, screen, size, and browser. And that is something that has become more and more important. We're going to talk about mobile design as well in a couple of weeks. So your website should be mobile. I'm actually going to touch on that though, because it's something that's really important. Google has recently, well, it was October of last year actually, they started getting more searches on mobile devices than they did on desktops. When that happened, they split up their index. So now they have a mobile index and they have just a regular search index. Well, Google knows if your website is mobile friendly or not. As a matter of fact, you can go to Google and test your website through their mobile tester. And if your website is not mobile, then when somebody searches on a mobile device, they do not give you the authority that you would get if you were mobile friendly. So when somebody searches on that mobile device, Google, or people are depending on Google to give them the best results. And if Google is telling them to go to a web page that the person's not going to be able to read that well on their phone, then they're not doing their job. So that mobile index is, unless you just have no competition or no competition with mobile sites, your website is not going to show up on page 1 in those search results. And let's face it, they say the best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Google. So it is extremely important that your website is mobile. We say mobile responsive because responsive design is it's the gold standard in mobile design. But we're going to get into that in some more detail in a future installment. So in a couple of weeks, I say in a couple of weeks because next week I'm not going to be here. Someone is going to do a live stream next week that's going to be on a different topic unrelated to this. It'll be something simple that can be covered in 1 week. I'll be out of town on a business trip, but when we get back, I'm going to pick up on this, and that'll be in 2 weeks. We're going to have live stream number 2, and the things that we're going to talk about are going to be duplicate content. We're going to talk about canonical URLs. We'll talk about how to use video for search. The importance of mobile. We're going to talk about page speed and how that affects your ranks, and also schema data or structured data. In week 3, we're going to get into off-page SEO, primarily backlinks, but we'll talk about some other things as well. And then we're going to talk about keyword research, which that's going to be the foundation of your SEO. And then in live stream number 4, we're going to talk about Google Analytics, Google Webmaster Tools, and we'll talk about some other analytics tools that are really cool, like heat maps and session recordings and website visitor ID. These are all things that you're going to find very interesting. So as we go through this, my hopes with it is that you'll be able to take this information. It's going to give you a really solid understanding of SEO, possibly enough to be able to go in and completely do it yourself, or at least give you the confidence to search out the tools that are going to allow you to do it yourself. Or if not, at the very least, you're going to be able to have a really good conversation with the person who's doing your SEO for you, and all be on the same page and not be completely confused by everything that they're telling you. So stick with us on this. We're going to have, again, 4 sessions. Comment, ask us questions. I will be happy to answer questions there, and let us know how we can help you. Thank you for being here today.